Welcome to employment law. I'm going to kind of give you an introduction to where to find things and where you may get more additional information. So let's get started. Your screen won't look exactly like this, but it'll look pretty close to this. And especially if you don't have experience with Canvas before, you may find it useful to kind of wander around a little bit and explore all the nooks and crannies. So when you actually start the course, when you go in, you'll probably see a page like this, and there'll be these three buttons: Begin Here, Course Content, and Student Resources. This is kind of like the book cover of our course. You'll probably find, though, in the long run, you'll end up hitting the Modules button. You can also hit the Course Content button, but let's just go ahead and start with the Modules button, because this is where you're going to be spending most of your time. The first module, the one that will open up right away, is called Start Here. I may change it and call it Orientation at some point, but it's the module that doesn't really have any content in terms of the coursework, but kind of shows you what's going to go on in this class and how to best organize your time. Sometimes students skimp on this, and I think they sometimes learn to regret that, because this is where you get the tools to know how to plan your semester. And so I would suggest during the first week that you spend some time going through the parts that have most meaning for you. And you may find from time to time that a question comes up. Maybe it's something you knew at the first week, but gosh, time has passed. You've taken other courses, and maybe there have been different policies and procedures. This is always available to you. So don't hesitate to come back if you forget what my late policy is or when my office hours are. All that stuff is located here in this first module. You're welcome to email me and say, hey, I don't remember where that is. But if it's in the module, I'll probably say, thanks for your email. You may want to go to that module because that information is available. One of the things we try to do in this course is empower you to kind of lead your own destiny in this course. It's the same type of skills that you're developing in this course are the skills that you're going to be using in your professional life as a paralegal. For example, deadlines. The court doesn't tell you when your response motion is due. You have to find the rule and do the calculation yourself to figure out when is this particular rule due. We don't go that far in this class. We will tell you due dates, but the idea here is that you have the information available for you. Just go out there, find it, and put that in your calendar, and you'll be good to go. Of course, I may have forgotten something, and so you're welcome to email me, and sometimes my response, not too often, but occasionally my response will be, you know what, I don't think I've given that answer. Let me go ahead and add that to the orientation module. So feel free to email me after you've done a look. If you can't find it, I'll let you know if it's still out there, or I'll give you that information if I had inadvertently left it out, because I'm by no means infallible, as you will soon discover. I start here within the orientation module. Probably the first item will be the lecture that I'm covering right now. But you'll see there's an orientation PowerPoint. This is a neat and quick document you can look at if you're looking for policies and procedures. Sometimes that's the most useful place to go. You'll see that there's a syllabus button here. This one probably won't be here in the long run. You'll probably click on over here for this concourse syllabus. But it'll either be here or it'll be here. So you'll know one of those two places will get you the syllabus. The syllabus is a really convenient way to get due dates and to figure out how the course is aligned, and also to see information about policies and procedures. There will be an orientation quiz. For the most part, you're going to rely upon this PowerPoint and the syllabus to give you the information that you need. It's not timed, though, so if you need to explore some of these other resources, feel free to do so. The next item on this list, and again, the order of these may shift a little bit as semesters progress, but the next one is questions. Let's say you come up with a question. Maybe it's about a procedure, maybe it's about something else. Feel free to post it here, and I will respond when I see it, or maybe other students will respond. In addition, if a question has come up in class that I think others might be interested in knowing about, I may publish something here, and again, it'll be called, that would be one of my instructor's pointers. For example, let's say that for assignment 12, the instructions say that it needs to be at least 3 paragraphs long, but I start noticing that some of the early submissions are only a single paragraph long. Well, I might post an instructor pointer saying, hey, everybody remember the instructions are 3 paragraphs. So that would be an example when I feel like maybe folks would benefit from a little bit more clarity on something. If you would like to forward your Cougar Mail to your personal email, here are instructions for that. And here's just a neat little document from a local law firm that gives you some idea about some of the issues that are percolating recently. I'll have this some years, it'll be up to date. Some years I don't get the survey, so I don't have it up to date. But anyway, in any event, it's a kind of a neat thing if you want to see what the issues are currently. Here's a long section that goes through videos. Most of these videos are about 3 to 5 minutes long. I used to produce a really long video, but the difficulty with that was that if you had only a discrete question, you might have to watch 2 hours to find the answer. So I've tried to break it down into discrete topics. If you have a suggestion for another lecture, I'll be glad to entertain that. So let me know if you can think of a topic that I haven't covered here. In most cases, though, there probably will be a topic here. And so just go ahead and browse through this to get the information that you need. This would be in addition, of course, to the information that you'd get in the PowerPoint, orientation PowerPoint, and the syllabus. So that gives us an overview of this first and very important orientation module. Next, we have Module 1, and all of the modules are set up pretty much in the same way. You'll have the name of the particular chapter or module that we're covering, and then you'll see it's broken down into 3 sections. The first section I call PowerPoint, Study Guide, and Lectures. And you can see the PowerPoints come first, and lo and behold, the 2 PowerPoints are first. Then we see Study Guide. The Study Guide is directly below. And then we see Lectures. And again, here we have 2 lectures. In some modules, there'll be a single PowerPoint, or there may be a single lecture. Some chapters have many more than 2 lectures. So this gives you a kind of a breakdown. What I like to think about this is material that I have prepared, meaning the instructor has prepared, that is going to be your resources for the course. The second section is kind of a catch-all. It includes any additional videos or documents that are found here. Sometimes I might find a complaint, for example, or just an interesting survey, for example, that might exist out there in the legal community. But there will always be also a question, or not always, but most of the time be a question bank. This is a combination of questions that I have gotten from lots of different resources and many questions that I've written myself. This is not for a grade. This is just to help you learn the material. I do borrow from this test bank for the chapter quizzes and also for the midterm and final examinations. So this is a very useful resource to see what your level of mastery is, but it isn't directly a grade. You don't ever have to do it, or you can do it all the times that you want. And so that's just something to keep in mind. The last section is where we get grades, and you're going to find that there's typically going to be a discussion board and a quiz, and many times there will be an assignment, although not every time. So the discussion board, let me just click on this so you can see what this is like. The discussion board will require that you make 1 post. When you make your first post, you won't be able to see anyone else's post. And at the end of that first post, you're going to post your word count. You need for your word count to be at least 100 words. If it's not 100 words in length, you're going to get a deduction. And if you don't put the word count at the end, you're going to get a deduction. And then you're going to reply to at least 1 other student. You can apply to more. It's fairly routine for people to apply to lots, but you don't have to. So you're going to reply to 1 student, and then there will be the requirement that it be at least 40 words long, which is about 2 sentences, and that you include the word count at the end. Again, these would be other areas for deduction. So keep in mind, if you follow the rules and you actually make a sincere effort to answer the question, this is a pretty easy way to make points in the class. But again, if you're not making your posts long enough, you don't include your word counts, you may become a little bit frustrated by your grade on those activities. So that's how the discussion board usually works. I do have some discussion boards where people will vote on their favorite, and in that situation, sometimes I award extra credit points. And again, you want to be sure that you are voting for which one of the posts you think is most effective. Then there will be an assignment in many modules. Sometimes the assignments are, this one is set up as a quiz. That's simply because Canvas calls everything that you input within Canvas, a quiz. But this is actually an assignment, not a quiz. So for the purposes of our activity, kind of disregard some of this language here. Obviously, there will be a due date when we're in an active semester, so you'll see right here where it says the number of points, there will be the date in which activities are due. I don't accept late assignments ever. It doesn't matter the reason. I'm just not going to accept it. I have a policy that I don't vary from in that area. And so please don't become frustrated and anxious about it. It just is what it is. I do have some ways that I take into account the fact that some people may miss tests and other things. And you'll see some information about that in the orientation part of the course. But it's not that I don't believe you when you say that you had some very unfortunate circumstance. It doesn't mean that I don't have human compassion for your situation. But the real world is, or the legal world is, that there are no lates. Whatever happens, happens. If you miss the deadline, you miss the deadline, and whatever the consequences are, you and your client experience. And so what we're doing is we're learning how that feels and how that works. If you talk to virtually any legal professional, you'll have them say, or if you ask them, they will say, yes, there was that deadline that I missed, and I didn't sleep for weeks because of it. I don't want you to go through that. If there's a way I can help you not to have that experience, I want to be that person that protects you. And one of the best ways of having that protection is to implement this policy early on so that you won't, you'll be kind of used to that expectation, and you will, plan ahead so you don't have to miss the deadline. Many times the assignments that we will be doing will involve things that have to be posted, such as documents, and so be sure that you are aware of what the document requirements are. Let's look at Module 2. I'm just going to go into the document. And again, here you're going to be submitting an assignment. So you'll click, when you're ready to submit, you'll click on Submit Assignment. And here you'll actually post something in the text box. At other assignments, you may have to post an actual document, a PDF or a Word document or something like that. So each assignment's going to vary. You want to make sure that you'll see exactly what the format is. Sometimes I may have a peer review aspect to the assignment. And then we have a quiz, and these quizzes come from those question banks, and so they are timed. The reason that they're timed is that I recognize that students don't want to come into the testing center for every quiz so that it can be proctored. So the clock kind of acts as a proctor. You can see that there's 15 questions and you have 10 minutes. That time may change. It may drop down to 7 or 8 minutes, because the goal here is for you to just answer the questions without looking anything up and without you having the time to look things up. It is a closed note type of experience. And so if I give you, say, 20 minutes to do it, you very likely wouldn't look up the answer, but other people in the class might, and that wouldn't be fair for you. So it is an unproctored experience, and therefore it has to be timed. I recognize, though, that some people find time tests to be very stressful. I get that, if that happens to be your circumstance, I am delighted to turn the quizzes in to the testing center on the Frisco campus so that you can take the tests in an untimed situation. Because there is a proctor, we don't need to have the time set up. So if that happens to be a preference, more power to you. I'm happy to accommodate that. I do need a week's notice so that I can type up the questions and turn them into the testing center. So again, it's your choice whether it's timed or untimed, just kind of how much you value convenience versus the timing inconvenience. So let me go back to modules. Here we go. So that kind of goes through what is in a module. We have all of the resources that I have prepared, kind of a potpourri of various other items, and then the graded activities. My suggestion would be for you to start at the beginning of the module and go down. When you're looking at the PowerPoints, the study guide is based upon the PowerPoint, and then you'll want to print up the study guide so that you can watch the lecture while you're doing the study guide. So this is all kind of one group to help you watch and make sense of the lecture presentations. And then I would suggest that you watch these two. Sometimes this will be tied to the discussion board, sometimes it won't be. These can be very helpful in preparing for these activities. So kind of start at the bottom and go down. And you'll see that each one of the modules is set up similarly. You can find out your grades here. I will post grades. Some grades will post automatically. I will post other grades within a week. And you'll see that there is no ability at the bottom to see an overall grade. I don't do that because Canvas is awesome and wonderful and I love it, but it doesn't do a good job calculating grades. And that's because I happen to have a lot of unusual rules about how I calculate grades, all of which are covered, by the way, in the syllabus. I drop grades and I curve grades and I do other things with grades with extra credit that just Canvas is not up for the task. And so if I were to put the information in and Canvas were to spit out a grade for you, it would not be 100% correct. And that is frustrating for students. I know it's also frustrating for the grades not to be available, but the wonderful thing is that while my system may be somewhat complicated, the math isn't. The math is very, very straightforward. It's just basic arithmetic. If you would like some assistance in figuring out how to calculate your grade, I posted some videos about it, but just come to my office hours. I won't calculate your individual grade, but I'll show you how to do it in theory, and then you can use that information to go ahead and go through various scenarios. What if I get 100 on the final? What if I get a 50 on the final? And kind of see where you need to be. That's a wonderful thing to do. I encourage you to do it, but you don't have to. It's my job to calculate grades, and so if for whatever reason math isn't your thing and you're having some challenges figuring out the grades, just know that at the end of the day, I'm the one responsible for that, and it's not something that you're able to change by calculating it. The only way you can change the outcome, of course, is through your performance in the class. So anyway, I hope that this information has been helpful. I'm very excited about teaching this course. As I cover in the PowerPoint, this has been a passion of mine throughout my career. I practiced in the area of labor and employment law for 20 years before I came to to Collin. I was at JCPenney for many years. This is a fascinating area, in my opinion, and I'm kind of biased, but in my opinion, it's the most interesting area of the law. People do the craziest things in the work environment. And so that's one thing that's interesting about it, because just the human experience is very interesting. The second thing that I find so interesting about it is that the law does not meet most people's expectations of what the law is going to be. Invariably, when I teach this course, I have students say, "What? I had no idea that's what the law was," in several different areas. There'll be several moments that I think you'll be very, very surprised. Maybe you'll be surprised in a good way, maybe you're surprised in a bad way, but I think you will likely to be surprised unless you've already practiced in this area for a while. And then the third thing that I think is so useful about this is that it is tremendously practical. You have likely been an employee. You will likely manage others at some point in your career. So you need to know how the employment relationship works, and this is the rule book, so to speak, of that system. So I hope that you find the course as interesting as I do. I'm very excited about teaching it and very excited about getting to know you. Thanks so much for your attention, and have a wonderful day.